Hello everyone, I'm Niraj Murani, the Director of Community at ProductNX. Welcome to another episode of the Founder Spotlight series by ProductNX, where we talk with startup founders as we dive deeper into what they're doing, their aspirations behind starting up, the challenges they have faced along the way, and much more. Today, I'm joined by Amol Shinde, co-founder of CxCherry, a customer education, engagement, and retention platform, and a portfolio company of ProductNX. Welcome, Amol.
Hi Niraj, thanks for the invite to this amazing series, and I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm also delighted to have you with us today. I've
Thank you.
been following the great work that you've been doing with CxCherry over the past few months, and I'm very excited to dig deeper into all of it. Amol, your very first startup, Radix Business Models, which you ran for almost 4 years, and you mentioned somewhere that this experience taught you what not to do while you're running and creating a business. Tell me about the experience with RBM and what those learnings were.
Yeah, I think it was the early stage of my career. I got into entrepreneurship pretty early because I always wanted to be in that space for sure. We started Radix Business Models as a typical custom software solution company, and we used to focus a lot on enterprise technologies like SharePoint, and Lotus Notes, which is IBM stack basically. So we ran it for 4 years, grew from almost 4 people to 42 people size, and then certain market conditions changed and things didn't work out. However, I think we were lucky enough to kind of exit the business wherein we were acquired by some other company. But that stint gave me a lot of learnings as a first entrepreneurial stint, wherein I would like to share three learnings that I had and which I picked up, and I still keep implementing those in my this startup as well. The first one is if you want to experiment and fail as early as possible, because you have to entrepreneurship is all about experimenting and keep trying new stuff, but then you can't wait to fail for a longer period. So you have to make sure that whatever you want to do, you need to do it pretty fast. Secondly, the second learning is wherein if you are a product company or if you are a services company in technology space, I think US is the first market that you should start with, because that's where most of the things go wrong. With Radix, our challenge was that we were focused on a lot of domestic market, and we were so late to enter into the international market that we couldn't survive our business at that time. So if you have a good product market fit, or if you have a services which can cater to the international market, I think you should go to the international market, especially in North as possible, because that's where the bigger differences comes to the success of any. One is always keep an eye on all the international events which are happening in terms of the growth of the market or predicted recession, because if you know that what is predicted in longer run, you can plan for your strategies or you can plan for your other growth plans accordingly. So these are three major lessons which I from that, and I think that is the these three lessons is helping us to survive in any condition. So in our existing startup also, we could successfully pay in post COVID cycle.
That's quite fascinating, Amol, because I know that you have been able to actually rely on these learnings. Like you mentioned, that you're still utilizing that in CxCherry as well.
Yeah.
And especially after Radix, you had a few years in software sales, after which you founded your second startup in 2014, Nosies, which is still running alongside CxCherry. What made you start Nosies, and how are you dovetailing that along with CxCherry at the moment?
Yeah, once you taste the blood of entrepreneurship, it's very difficult to be in the job. However, I did take a break after my first stint and went back to industry. I don't want to start immediately. But after 3 years, when I decided to start other journey into entrepreneurship, I think the most fascinating thing when I was doing that was I realized that world is going to move towards more of a digital era, because this startup, the CX Gnosis is almost like 8 years old now, and that time digitization was just at the beginning of its core. And learning was the space which I found most fascinating, because, of course, because of the nature of the engagement that I was that time performing. And I realized that 5 years down the line, this is the thing which is going to be like at the peak. So learning is not going to stop at any given juncture. And especially when it comes to the professional learning, because education is a different thing and learning is a different thing. So when people get into the job and they start to learn new things or new skills, that's where this economy was supposed to boom. And we are all seeing that we are moving more from a knowledge-based economy to a skill-based economy. And if you have to kind of create more skills, you have to educate people. And that's where I think our role comes into picture. The whole online or say e-learning and those kind of things are going to come pretty handy. And that fascinated me to kind of continue that. And of course, it has been a great journey with Noses for us. We have been completely bootstrapped and going from year one simply because we were focused on lots of enterprise customer segment, and we work with lots of large enterprise customer nowadays. But that has helped us to kind of do better in this.
And having run Nosies for almost 8 years and running a profitable business for 8 years as well, you decided you wanted to start CxCherry. Before we dive deeper into why you started CxCherry, for the benefit of our listeners, why don't you tell us what exactly is CxCherry?
Sure. CxCherry is our own intellectual property. It's a SaaS-based platform available for commerce, for training their end users. CxCherry is primarily all-in-one purpose-built customer education platform, which can be used by any growing company, be it in product or services, to train or educate their end customer on either their product or services. So we believe that the way the whole SaaS economy is booming and the way whole SaaS products are coming into the market, this is customer education is going to be the next big space and the big category on which a lot of investment is supposed to happen. Because if you want to reduce the churn, if you want your retention, or if any product company wants to kind of gain the confidence of the customer, creating the evangelist on their product is the way to go forward, because that's the only way you can upsell, you can retain your customer and all that. And to do education, customer education is the key. So I think that's going to be the new category, that's the upcoming category. And we are focused as a CxCherry, we are focused on that. We call ourselves as a completely per training platform or customer education platform, and would continue focusing on that domain with doing lots of innovations on what business driven data that we can give to our customers so that they can make some useful decisions on that.
And while I understand that customer education is finally seeing light of the day, there are more and more companies that are understanding the importance of customer education and customer retention as well. What about this industry really resonated with you as a founder? What made you feel that this is the industry that you would want to improve through your work?
To be honest, it has a long story because we ourselves had gone through the pain whenever we. So I'll tell you, talk about our existing company. We use almost all our software, 100% softwares are on the cloud, which are SaaS-based software. And when we were kind of purchasing any new software or going through it, I realized that how to use that product is always challenge, because unless and until my team or team is not trained on that product, and if they don't know what are the use cases, how to use that product and all that, whatever investment we make, possibly it's not going to give us the return on whatever investment we have done. So that made us to think that is this the space that we should look at, because this might be the need of lots of companies who are kind of focusing on it. And if you look at the SaaS industry data, which says that almost the company of the size of 250 people and above would have at least 100 plus SaaS products with them. Now, if you want to have those many products, which of course means there will be a fierce number of companies which will be coming into each segment, be it your CRM, be it your fintech products or anything that you talk about. And the applications are going to become more complex with the business logic evolving for each segment, each category. And that's where doing the right customer education is going to be the key. We realize that this is going to be a long run pain. And when we used to talk to our customer during our noses, there were lots of requirements which were coming, which were focused on training their customers. So for example, it could be a training to the customer on a specific process or on a specific product or on a specific service. And that validated our hypothesis that Customer education is something which is the pain from a small, medium to the large enterprise or let's say Fortune 500 company. And when we backtrack the data and try to analyze the trend with some of the research report, that was validated pretty well, and that made us to be focusing on customer training and customer education as well.
In true entrepreneurial spirit, you saw a problem and ended up creating a solution for it on your own.
Yeah, I think it's a problem, and I would say it's a tip of the iceberg, to be honest, because there are still companies which have not been focusing on customer education as their core thing because it was never a frontline business issue for many companies. But now, with customer centricity becoming the pivot of any business and customer taking the central place where customer has the choice to move from one product to other just by a click of a button.
Right.
You don't have to be like dependent on a software now. It's gone are those days wherein things used to be behind the firewall and all that. So I think it's going to be more difficult for most of the product companies or services company to retain their customers. And the only way to do that is to provide a better customer experience and a better customer service. And if you want to do that, having an educated customer on your product or on your service is always going to benefit you because that's where
Right.
you will be scoring your points on top of your competition. And I believe that's the pain that we're trying to solve for our customers with our.
And you've been running CxCherry for almost 15 months now, and no process of building a startup or building a product is without its fair share of challenges. Even if you are an experienced entrepreneur, you will still continue to face a good amount of challenges. What would be some of these biggest challenges that you faced while building CxCherry?
Yeah, I think you pointed it very correctly, but now I think it has become our adrenaline that to deal with the new product lines, product startups, and all that. You can consider this as a third, entrepreneurial stint. To be honest, after a successful stint of noses, we were so confident that we realized that yes, we can take. I would like to take a step back and just explain that why it makes sense for us to have CxCherry in place when we have another services business which is going alongside because it's a very logical extension for us. We wanted to be in the learning technology space, wherein we add a value to the entire ecosystem or the learning ecosystem of any organization that we work with. And services is one part of it, but having a very good modern product to support their additional need was always something which we felt we can build on. We definitely, when we decided to kind of start or create another venture, which is CxCherry, we had our own share of challenges, which we continue. So I would like to kind of count on three challenges, which are our major challenges, to be honest. One is, of course, whenever a new startup is set up to kind of have a very focused vision of what exactly you wanted to do. Because if you don't have a clarity and a vision as far as whatever you wish to do in a longer run, be it like 2 years, 3 years, 7 years goal, it's very difficult to kind of chalk out the further plan. That's one thing which we had a challenge in the beginning, but we could overcome that honestly, and we are lucky that we got a lot of support from ProductNX in doing it. Second challenge is to formalize a right marketing strategy because I think both myself and my founder, the co-founder Ash, we come from a sales background, and for us, we have been into services for a longer period, which is like 8 years, and the change of mindset from services to product and changing that gear was very difficult for us. So it took us about, I would say, I'll be very honest, it took us about 12 months to kind of deal with that mindset. But now the kind of structure we have set up, the kind of processes that we have put in place, we are completely two separate entities. We operate, our PNLs are different, and we operate under separate brand name and the umbrella. It was another challenge, major challenge to change our focus or mindset from services to product because both are different ball game and both needs to be played with a different strategies and tactics. So these are a couple of challenges that we had, and some of them we already have addressed from and some of them we are still dealing with, and hopefully in another 6 months time we should be able to address.
It's quite interesting to me to understand the challenges not only in terms of building the product, but also the mindset shift that needs to happen on the founders' side of things, because these are not the things that you usually hear about from founders, right? So that's quite fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because I'll tell you, to be honest, building a product for us, since we have been into that industry for almost more than 16, 17 years, it was pretty easy because we knew the pain, we knew the problem statements, we knew the use cases. So it was easy for us to get into that. However, when we started building it, as I said, to change our mindset from a services to a product company was the biggest challenge, and we learned it hard way because we lost some of the big deals with just because of our approach and the way we were trying to do the thing. But then, yeah, every learning is important, is what I feel. And with those learnings, now we have set our course right. So now we talk, when it comes to product, we talk the language of MRR, we talk the language of NPS and all that. It's a great transition as a company, as a team. And the best part was the whole team also aligned to it very well, because the team that we have, the core team, it's phenomenal team, and they also understand that now we need to move on this course. So now we are completely focused on adopting the PLG strategy that we wanted to make CxCherry a success story with our product-led vision strategies, and hopefully we will do that.
Right. And somewhere along your journey of building CxCherry, you decided to join hands with Product 10. What made you choose P10X as a partner to help you on it?
I think, to be honest, that's one greatest thing to happen in last 15 months with CxCherry is what I would say. Because the best part about I would like to give a quick brief background about how we went about this, because with Product 10X, we were surely looking for some support and be a part of a group which can help us to achieve this transition from a services company to a product company. And when you are the founder of a company, you know that you can decide whatever you want to do. That's another challenge that you can have. But we decided to kind of focus and seek some guidance from outside. And that's where we come across Product 10X. And I had interacted with and Yogi. So the whole process went for about 4 to 6 months, to be honest. And there was lots of grilling. So it was not a very easy thing for us to, so it was not like a cakewalk for us to kind of get this done, because there was lots of due diligence done. Secondly, the validation of the whole idea and the approach that Product 10X team took. For us also, it was an experience, because we had talked to some of other accelerators, and we realized that there are so many accelerators which will talk about lots of good things, but Product 10X was the one which I would say useful, or the most important term which we are looking for, which is the co-creation. So if you look at Product 10X philosophy, they believe in co-creating, and we being very young organization, I think more than anything else, we need that approach of co-creation, wherein Product 10X team spending as much time as we want along with us, guiding us on each aspect of the business. So it's not only either a product development or go-to-marketing strategy or let's say sales and all that. They are helping us to create a complete flywheel effect, opening up their network, be it any operational support which is required on the ground. So these are some of the things which are very critical for any startup, because the challenges in the beginning are very different. See, once you scale, it's a different story. But to reach to that scale, and you need somebody who can work with you alongside as your team. So the best part about Product NX is a co-creation philosophy that they follow. Second, the whole team which is there, they come as a unit. So when we need a support on go-to-marketing strategy, they'll say, okay, we will help you there. If we need some support on product development and the strategies and all that, they come in there and they support. Even after, by doing all this, though they are a part of our team, but Product 10X also don't shy away from doing critic reviews, which happens every quarter, which is also equally important, because somebody looking things from a third eye perspective from outside plays a big role, and Product 10X does that job amazingly without losing the sanity of the relationship that we have, and also not pressurizing us by putting unnecessary stuff. So it's in real sense, it's the actual co-creation which is happening, and we see a huge difference in terms of the way we have turned around, the way our thought process has been changed. And if you ask me, if you would have been talking about 9 months from now, and I would have been a different person. And today, when I talk to anyone in the about CxCherry, I'm a different person. So I can see, and the transition is not only amongst few people; it's across the value chain of the organization, be it product team, be it sales team, be it marketing team, be it management team. So that's a great thing about the product NX, and that made us to kind of go along with them. I think that's one of the best decisions that we ever made.
Always very heartening to hear the founders come back to us and tell us that this co-creation model works.
Correct.
And like you mentioned, that mindset shift in terms of thinking product first, right? Product-led growth and MRR, and these are the things that we live by at Product NX. And I'm very happy to hear that, that mindset shift has also contributed to the success of CxCherry.
Yeah, that's the biggest game changer for us. If that wouldn't have happened, possibly we would have been selling the product in a services mode, which is like, which is a nightmare, honestly.
And Amol, coming to you as a founder, talked about the startup, but especially as a founder, all the challenges that you face while building a startup, those in a way are opportunities to learn more about the company, about the market, and about yourself as a founder, as an entrepreneur as well. So, what would you say are some of these biggest learnings throughout your own journey of building CxA? I know we touched upon the learnings from the building your first startup of Radix, but specifically building CxA, what would you say are your learnings as a founder?
So I think the biggest learning is, especially if I talk in the context of CX sharing, if you want to be in a product game, you need to think like a product company. That's the first thing that you need to do. There is no gray area when it comes to the product. Everything has to be a bit crystal clear as far as your execution strategy is concerned. You keep changing your plans, that's okay, but you need to keep trying and you need to keep failing, again rising and then trying and failing. That's one biggest learning that we have. Second is, have a good, I would say, mentorship, even if you are running any successful company, because for us, for me especially, it's the second entrepreneurial stint. However, when we started, decided to get into the product game, we realized that we need a good mentorship wherein some of our concepts when it comes to the product business are not very clear, and those needs to be furnished. I'm not saying that you have to be dependent on that, but having a good mentor around you, or who can tell you what are the nuances of doing certain things or not doing certain things, or reviewing each and every aspect of your business plan or business strategy, including smallest things like reviewing your collaterals, what goes to the customer, or reviewing your messaging to the customer is very important. And every anybody who is kind of into that mode of starting their journey in this road, I would say these are two things which they should look at. And third is, of course, have the right set of processes and people in place, because that's one of the biggest learning that we had over the past of so many years, that to do a right job, have a right set of people. Because many times, startups are, the founders are like, it's a 24 by 7 job. You cannot switch off, which is good, but then you cannot do everything, right? You cannot do product, you cannot sell the product, everything you should not be doing. So having a right set of people at right to kind of accelerate your growth is something which is very important. And as a founder, I would say that try to get those kind of people on board as early as possible. Many times things get stuck because of the funds or because of the commercials and all that. But what I learned over a period of time, those things can still be worked out, because there are people who are passionate about doing certain things and they are willing to engage with some of the new ideas and new concepts. Maybe we were lucky in that sense, but that's another thing that as a new age founder you should always try.
Right.
And if you want to fail, fail.
And I'm sure these learnings have obviously contributed to the success that CxCherry has been seeing, which brings me to question that I love hearing from all the founders is how are you defining success for CxCherry? What are your aspirations?
I think we are in a very early stage of our product journey. For us, the success means, as of now, that's our definition of success is our customer should get value out of whatever we are helping them with. And if they get a value, I think that is a success for us. And that value could be as simple as that they are able to kind of achieve or deliver a simple successful customer training program to a set of customers. That's okay. It might not be in a shorter run draw a huge business value, but I think we are helping them to achieve that objective first is a success for us at this point in time. On a monetary fund front, I don't think that's something which we count our success at, because if you can provide a value to your the success will always follow.
Going revenue first, but bringing value and then letting revenue take care of itself. It's been a great conversation. I usually love closing out with a question that I believe will help our community members. What would be your advice to aspiring entrepreneurs?
That's a great question. Honestly, I used to keep meeting lots of young entrepreneurs. So I would call young because for me, I'm now in a third generation or second generation. I think in the world wherein everybody is getting benefited with your distraction, being focused is a new normal. So my advice to the young entrepreneurs is be focused, be patient, the rest will follow. Because if you know what exactly you wanted to do, if you are committed to do what you wanted to do, I think nothing in the world can stop you from achieving what you wanted to achieve. Only thing is focus is highly critical, and if you get distracted, then it's going to kind of derail lots of things for you. So be focused and just aim for whatever you wish to go for. It doesn't matter whether you are doing services or products, as long as you know what exactly.
I'm sure that's quality advice, and a lot of our community members would really appreciate it. And that brings us to the end of our session this time. Thanks a lot for your time and sharing your journey and insights with us, Amol.
Thank you. Thanks, Niraj. Thanks for inviting, and it was really pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good day.